folks who got legal jobs. Beat the odds, you feel me? We ain't supposed to be here, never thought we'd see it. Now we live with proof, tell the world to believe it. Congratulations, thank God we made it. They told us we was nothing, now I know they hate it. Wrap up the flowers, wrap up the flowers. Congratulations, we beat the odds. Wrap up the flowers, wrap up the flowers. Congratulations, we beat the odds. I ain't supposed to be.
Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. I am your host, Rae LaShea, and I have a fantastic guest for you today on this Monday, February 22nd, 2020. Joining us today will be Roderick the Writer Talley, who is an author of multiple genres. And so we are excited to have him request to join and come on in for today's show. Please, as always, visit me at www.lessproblemsmoremiracles.com. That's lessproblemsmoremiracles.com. Put your email address in so that you can get the free PDF Miracle Makers Roadmap. And you could also check out the books that I have for sale. So if you would please help me welcome Mr. Roderick the Writer Talley. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's been a while.
I know. Your volume is slightly low, unless it's me. I think it was me.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep, you're good. Okay. So welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
To just start, why don't you please tell the people who you are and what you do?
All right, so my name is Roderick D. Talley. I go by Roderick the Writer for Instagram and social media purposes. And I'm actually a author. I'm a writer. I primarily deal with poetry, and I just started getting into children's books, and I'm also working into getting into devotionals as well. And I also own a book publishing company in which I use to not only promote my brand of writing, my brand of books, but to also help other writers promote their work, especially writers who have a positive purpose. I realize there's a need for that, especially amongst self-published writers. And so I realize marketing is one thing that it's not really too easy to come by, trying to market your material. And so that's something I wanted to pretty much help other writers with. So, yeah.
And so Roderick and I met in Houston at the National Black Book Fair, where I was able to get this.
Yeah.
This was your first book, right?
Yes, that was the first one.
Sinner turned role model turned advocate. Can you tell us about it? What it's about?
Well, I'll go into the title real quick. The sinner part means that I was somebody who was looking to get into trouble. The role model part means I wanted to become more of a positive role model. I realized people were looking up to me and were kind of idolizing my actions, both the good and the bad actions. So I wanted to be a positive role model because I didn't want to lead anybody down the wrong path. And the term advocate is I'm just an advocate for Jesus Christ. And in that book, it covers quite a few different situations where I'm really transparent in. For instance, I got some love poems towards my wife in there. I got a couple of poems about when I went to jail, when I was locked up, some things I learned from being in the military, things like that. So it's quite a variety of topics in that book.
Now, how long did you spend in the military?
Just 4 years. That was long
4
enough.
years. And did you go to war?
Unfortunately, yes. I did 2 deployments, and unfortunately, I did not have to, see anything traumatic, fortunately. But yes, I did though.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. Yeah.
And I recently heard someone say, people join the military to serve their country and then fight to survive. What do you think of that statement?
Interesting statement. There's it's half right, I would say. There are some people who in there who do join to fight for their country. There's a sense of pride in almost everybody that joins. But for the most part, there's a lot of people in there that's trying to create better options and opportunities for themselves and their families. Most of the people I met while I was in were people who were trying to escape poverty, or people who just didn't have a sense of direction, or people who knew if they stayed back at their hometown or their neighborhoods, they would just end up in trouble. So they figured they'd do something else that would at least get them paid, or at least create some other options for, if not themselves, and their family. So, yeah.
Let me say hi to a few guests who've joined us today. Tim the Tiger, Mary Bird Gonzalez, LaThomas Miller, Clarky the Lady, and PG Hammond. Janet Wilson, 2916, and Gwenergy, welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. I'm Rae LaShea, and I'm here with Roderick the writer, and we're talking about some of his books as well as his publishing and marketing company. We were just chatting about sinner turned role model turned advocate, and there's another book you have here, A Taste of the Creative Juices, Volume 2. And there's two poems actually that I really love. I'm going to read one now and one later. This one is called I Refuse.
Yeah.
I've been struggling lately mentally. There's been a lot on my mind and my plate. My attention has been diverted from giving God the much deserved praise. I feel a bit ashamed of myself for that, but I refuse to let the enemy have another day. I refuse to continue allowing my current situations to bind my joy, worship, and praise. In fact, I'm on my knee in prayer now, Lord, not asking you to take this phase away, but I'm asking you to help me stay focused on you so I can continually thank and worship you throughout the day. Even if you don't have any more blessings or miracles coming my way, I'm going to thank you for what you've done so far. You've changed my life in so many ways. Thank you, Lord, for everything. Yeah. When I read it, I thought this applies to so many people right now in this COVID pandemic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it also can apply to so many people in the past situations and upcoming future situations. Is there anything that inspired this poem? And I'll ask you the next question after. What inspired this poem?
The main thing was just, I try to really work on looking at the positive side of things, no matter what situation I'm in. And this was one thing that I really tried to make a habit of, is just giving God thanks every single day, no matter how bad things may look, or no matter how tough situations might be, whatever I'm dealing with. I know that God's been good to me, and I know I can, if nothing else, I can think back on numerous times where he's really helped me through some thick situations, even when I had no business getting out of those situations. Even when I got myself in those situations with my own foolishness, right, he still provided, he still came through for me. And I was like, all right, I got to find reason to make sure I take time every day and just give him thanks, no matter what's going on in my life. And so that's one of those poems. I got numerous poems of that, like that, but that's definitely one where it's like, hey, I realized there's a lot of things trying to get distract me from my focus and trying to take my joy away, but I can't let that happen because they didn't give me my joy. You gave me my joy. So therefore I got to keep giving you thanks, so.
Have you always been so positive? And if not, what was the change that brought you to that place?
I don't think anybody's been always positive. No, it took me, it took me a while, to be honest. And I actually grew up in the church. And so it was, but that's a whole nother story. That's a lot of stuff I see in the church that kind of made me go away from it. But that's a whole different story. But no, it took a while. It took several years. And what really changed was that I realized my negative attitude, although it was validated, there were some things going on with me and the way I grew up and things like that. Of course, it would be validated for anyone to have such, like, some anger issues or anything like that. But I realized my negative attitude was attracting negative attention. And I wanted to, with switches, I wanted to attract more positive attention. I realized I'm like, all right, I make a lot of mistakes, but I don't want to live my life just attracting negative energy all the time. And I've seen people in their 60s and 70s still doing that, unfortunately. And I didn't want to grow up to be, I didn't want to grow old to be that like that. So that was kind of the switch. And, you know, it's pretty rough at first, of course, because you got to change some habits. But
Yeah.
it's definitely been beneficial. And I definitely encourage anybody to do that. In fact, everybody to do that. So.
What I notice about this poem is there's so much maturity in it. Like to say, even if I never get another blessing,
Yeah.
thank you for all you've already done. Like there's so much maturity in that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, never even get there.
Mm-hmm.
How can people foster that positive, mature attitude?
I think it kind of starts with realizing, okay, first of all, I've been a God-fearing man for a little while, several years, and it was me really wanting to apply godly principles to my life. And it really started, and so that one of the first things I started was making sure I realized it wasn't about me. It was about him and making sure God get the glory out of every situation. And so when I can get past that, when we can get past that, then we can kind of start thinking about, oh, you know what? God has been looking out for me, even though I might not acknowledge it or might not be honest about it. There's definitely been some situations I could think about where he's looked out for me. And, you know, it does take maturity because a lot of us, we want a lot of blessings and stuff, which is nothing wrong with, you know what I'm saying? Great. You know, God wants us to be blessed and abundantly. But, you know, it's just that if blessing, sometimes we can get to a point where we focus so much on the blessings, we lose sight of the lessons, or we lose sight of the fact of what he's already done or what other people have already done for us. And so I wanted to be like, I want to make sure I give God thanks for everything that he's already done. And it did take it takes some maturity to get to that point because, yeah, naturally I'm like, that's a hard thing to say. Because what if he really did stop blessing me? That'd be really tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to be honest with myself. Like, man, you really ready to say that, Phil? But I was like,
you got to read Job after that. Be like,
yeah,
ooh.
yeah, exactly. And I look at other people in the Bible, and I was like, you know what? I gotta say that because he has been so good to me. If I was to pass away today, I can't pass. I'll be a happy man knowing that I've been extremely blessed. That he's blessed my family, people that I've been in touch with, and he's allowed me to be a blessing to other people. And so I'm like, I can't really, I have to say that. I have to be ready to say that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Let me welcome some folks who've joined us. Mark Bernard, JDNSR, Songbird Eco. Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. I'm Rae LaShea. I'm here with Roderick the writer. We're talking about his books, his poems, his life, his journey. And so now you have moved into the realm of children's books.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I believe this is your first one, Ezra's New School.
Yes. Thank you for buying it, by the way. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You know, most of my guests, I purchased their material for me to go through and for them to come on. It's
Trust me, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. We need
I'm online shopping half the time in these other stores. Why not? Why can't I support my friends and my folks and my family? And
thank you.
And
thank
you know, I can add it to my collection of precious treasures. So what made you get into children's book writing? And if you want to tell folks about this particular story.
Well, like I said before, I'm really into trying to build my brand of books. And from the beginning, I wanted to make sure I write different types of books. Poetry is my main type of writing that I do. However, I definitely wanted to dip into areas where I can really reach to other audiences. So I realized my first That's my 5th overall book right there. And I realized my first 4 books were all about, they were mainly poetry. And so nothing wrong with them. They were great, but I realized they really kind of target a specific audience, which isn't a bad thing. But I was like, man, I don't got nothing for the kids. I mean, I got a couple of poems towards kids, but I don't really have nothing where kids would probably be like, hey, I want to see that. I want to check that out. And I realized at a vending event I did, I think it was last year or right after we met, I think, right after that Houston event. I went to an event and there was a lot of people with their kids doing holiday shopping. And I was like, man, I need to tap into maybe do something where that attract the kids. And voila, I was like, oh, children's books. Let me, I think I can make a story. I ended up writing it within like 2 weeks. And yeah, actually the main part was really trying to find the artist for it. And that took a while, and trying to get the right pictures and everything, and then producing it myself under my company, learning that whole journey. That the whole thing was a nice journey in itself. And a bit about that book, though, I wanted to address some situations that I normally don't see in children's books, like what children go through that really cause them to think negatively, period. For instance, I know bullying has been an issue for a long time. I even had to face it where when I was in school, I didn't realize at the time because I was a fighter. I'm like, hey, you gonna try to bully me? I'm a fight. We fight. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Me and my brothers, we fought. That's what we did. But when I thought back on it, I realized like, hey, actually that was people trying to bully me. Okay, it is what it is. But bullying, not knowing how to communicate certain issues, especially when you have a problem, I realized those are 2 really big issues that really end up stemming into larger issues. And so I wanted to, in that, present an example in that book where of effective communication as well as an effective way of handling bullies, an effective way of handling children. Like if you see some children that might be, what I say, malnourished or something like that, where they don't look like they might be taken care of, how to approach them and things like that. So these are common situations I saw in school when I was growing up, and I come to find out from talking to other teachers, these are still very common situations. So especially the bullying part. So I wanted to kind of, reach out to young people on ways to really get over those things and how to address those problems.
So let me say, when I got it, no, and I know that you have a publishing and a production company, but I didn't even realize that you did it yourself. It is A+. A+.
Thank you.
And then I know from writing children's books, finding the illustrator is so difficult.
Yes.
Because they have to understand your vision, match that, and then be talented enough to bring that across in the actual artwork. And as you can see, the artwork is beautifully done.
Yes.
I believe your woman, Bina, is out of, was it Pakistan?
Yes.
So
had to go international. But yeah, she did a great job, and I thank God for finding her and linking up with her. Yeah, I ended up having to pay a little more for her, but that's okay. It was worth it. I know it'd be worth it. So, yes.
Some of the things, now let me tell you, I love this story, and this book belongs in classrooms.
Yes.
This book not only covers bullying, as you said, and bullying in a few ways, because you bring it as like actual fighting on the playground, ignoring kids, talking over them. So there's bullying in different ways, but also just the maturity and growth through communication of these kids, but also it's his new school and the move and kids who have to move around because of their parents' job. What I also love is that it's his dad who's taking him to school, and it's his dad who's communicating with him these things about life. And that is different than we see in most children's books.
Yeah.
please tell people where they can find this, as well as Sinner Turn Role Model Turn Advocate, and your other two books, along with a Taste of the Creative. And thank you for sending me this one
Yeah,
along with the one I ordered. I appreciate that.
no problem, no problem. Well, all of them can be found on www.rdtallybooks.com. That's RDTALLEYBOOKS.com.
Wait, I'm going to pin it. Okay, it's there for folks and where can they find and follow you on social media?
On Instagram, I'm Roderick, RODERICK, the writer, all one word. And on Facebook, I should have a few profiles on there, but the main one is Arthur Roderick D. Talley on Facebook. And I've tried Twitter, I've tried Pinterest and things like they didn't work out too well. So I've been sticking to just Instagram and Facebook for now.
Very good. So folks, visit rdtallybooks.com. Follow him here at Roderick the Writer. You can also follow me here at Rae LaShea. Please visit me at www.lessproblemsmoremiracles.com. Put your email address in so you can get the free Miracle Makers PDF roadmap, and also check out the books that I have. One of the things that I realized, Roderick, is you and I both have books from completely different genres.
Mm-hmm.
And when people ask, they want to know, like, how did you go from, erotica to children's books? And in your case, maybe from like Christian based to children's to poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have come to realize is that writers write from their experiences, from their journeys. And the wider that base is, the more likely they will write in very different genres. And so for me, like, I've traveled across the world in search of love and truth, and I've come back and I write from that experience. What experience, what journey do you write from?
Oh, I think I've also traveled the world. I've moved around quite a bit. Like right now I live on the East Coast, and so that means now I've lived in pretty much every region of the US at some point in my life. But I speak from different it's pretty difficult to pinpoint just one area. I'm someone who grew up in the church. I grew up in some churches where there were not so good things going on inside the churches. I grew up with siblings who went through traumatic experiences. I've come from a divorced household, a divorced family household, so that kind of made me have to figure some things out myself. Military as well. There are numerous experiences in that 4 years where I know a lot of people can relate to. Dealing with children a little bit, that's something. Dealing with marriage, dealing with being a Christian in the midst of a cult and trying to put putting kingdom over culture. That's something that kind of it definitely goes against the grain when it comes to especially our culture. A lot of people don't like to see some of the stuff that I present because I'm more about peace and unity, and you know how that goes. So it's definitely numerous things, definitely from numerous relationships, from having a miscarriage and things like that, from being locked up, from being homeless at one point in my life. So it's kind of like I touch base on I've been in different situations, so it kind of enables me to reach people who might be in those situations. And so I realized that when I went back to writing, like, man, I actually got some stuff that can help people, and on teaching people like how I got out, some solutions that maybe I can present to them, and I can do it in creative ways such as poetry or such as children's books or such as devotionals that'll keep their attention as well, So it's kind of, and then just growing as a man of God, trying to figure out ways where I present everything in love, No matter who I'm talking to, I could be talking to the LGBT community. I could be talking to people who are racist or anything like that. You know, I can't talk. I try to work on not talking to them from a judgmental standpoint, but saying like, hey, I got to present myself as a godly example so I can link you in. And my goal is to spread the knowledge of God's love. So I have to link you in some way and not be judgmental to it. So the fact that I've been in a bunch of different situations and realizing I can reach a lot of different type of people, I think that's where my base comes from. So, yeah.
Awesome. Let me say hello to a few people who have joined. Okarangupta 0001, Undeniable Lady, Bisiolat. Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. I'm here with Roderick the Writer, who I'm now titling Poet of the People.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
I want to read one last poem before we go.
Sure.
Mental Vibration. And now this is definitely a love-ish type poem. And I know in other poems, there are love poems that are definitely for your wife. I'm not sure if this one is, but
it is.
It is. But please give her a shout out while you're here, because I know she is the backbone of many of the great things going on in your life.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she actually, this is a poem that kind of takes place when I was thinking about like around the time I first met her. So it kind of goes back into that. So, yeah.
All right, here it is. Mental Vibration. It was your walk that briefly caught my attention, yet your thought process is what has kept my attention. The way that you think of your future possibilities, the way that you seek the good aspects in me, the way that you trust your heart into loving all people while protecting it enough in case they don't treat you as equal. You make it look easy to forgive those who hurt you and move on. I must say there are countless ways in which you turn me on. Our conversations give me energy like I'm a kid all over again. Your intellect mixed with your humor and humility has me wanting to be more than just your friend. I want to press forward and see where the depths of your love end. Yet the thought of losing your trust is something my mind can't comprehend. So I play it cool for now and enjoy every moment in your company. Enjoying how every note in your voice sparks emotion in me. Enjoying how my eyes are glued at how you carry your physique, sending electricity to my brainwave to the point where I can no longer speak.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep.
Yeah. I mean, I got to keep the marriage going, well. So these are the ways that I can do it. Been happily married. It'll be 6 years in May already. Jeez. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Still honeymooning. Yeah.
Keep the honeymoon going.
Yeah, might as well. So, but yeah, that's definitely one where I make sure I use my gift not only to help other people, make sure I spread, show my appreciation for people, especially her. She's been my biggest supporter, of course, from day one, from starting this company. And even when it looked pretty rocky, like, man, I don't even know how we're going to make this thing work, she was just like, you know what, we're in a position where we can try it out, and whatever happens, happens. Just trust God. And, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it. I'm going to just go full force and just boom. And here we are 2 years later. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, for, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else now. It's nuts. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Roderick, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you for
Ladies
having
and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Miracle Mondays with Rae LaShea. Visit Roderick the Writer at rdtollybooks.com. Visit me at www.lessproblemsmoremiracles.com. Join me here next week, Monday, March 1st, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where I'll have another fantastic guest, Jamie Conway of Brands Because. Until then, have a miraculous day. Bye-bye.